Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. Good day when we have our good friends in from Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial. Joining us is Neil O'Connell, Executive Director of the Memorial. How you doing there, Neil?
Fantastic, Drew. Good morning and Happy New Year to you and all these wonderful listeners, and thank you for having us in right at the top of the year.
Absolutely. We wouldn't think about doing anything but that, and thank you for bringing this honored guest on, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Anthony. He's a board member for Mount Soledad. First of all, Lieutenant Colonel, thank you so much for your service.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. How long have you been a board member with this wonderful group?
Oh, goodness. Going, I guess, about 12, 13 years.
You're just getting started. You got 25 right to go, according to Neil. We were chatting about that. Joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She's the Executive Director of San Diego Writers, Inc. They are celebrating their 20th anniversary, and Kristen's just done a magnificent job. Started co-hosting with me. You're in your 7th month now. Can you believe it?
I don't think that's true, but
Did we start in July?
Maybe August, September? Seven's good. Seven's a good number.
Actually, maybe it was last month we started.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Man, maybe you just started yesterday.
I do the writing, not the math.
Absolutely. So, Neil, just for those very, very few of our listeners that have not heard you on before and the guests you brought on, what is the mission of the memorial?
Well, since 1954, when the memorial was dedicated, we're in our 70th year of honoring and preserving the legacy of our veterans, and we do so by honoring them at top Mount Soledad here in San Diego, within the city limits, within the county of San Diego, with one of the most majestic memorials in the United States of America.
Well, I know we just talked about, Kristen's organization having their 20th anniversary. They're only 50 behind you.
Yeah, exactly.
This is number 70.
That's so amazing.
That is, and you've been involved for how long?
I've been involved, my goodness, going on 15 years as a volunteer for about 13 years, and now leading the wonderful team of our employees, our volunteers, our board of trustees. I work with Phil Kendrow, our board chairman, and we're making our way up the ladder. It's fantastic.
Now, you are. Anybody who's been up to that memorial, besides the fact that the views are breathtaking, even more breathtaking are reading the stories of those men and women on these plaques. Yep. And what makes you unique is that you will celebrate the folks that are still alive.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's one unique capacity that we offer to our friends and family members here that come over to the memorial and look into getting a plaque to honor their loved ones. But more so than that, just to be memorialized there for pretty much perpetuity. You're there. The memorial's not going anywhere.
Right.
And go ahead, Kristen.
No, I was just going to turn it over to Tony too. And I know that you're involved in the plaque program. So have you been doing that the entire time you've been volunteering, or?
Well, I've excuse me. I've done just about everything. I'm the chief plaque designer at this time. Excuse me very much. But I've held several positions, officer of the organization, and was there when we were doing the fight, with trying to keep the cross.
That's right.
And so it was a battle that we fought and finally won. And we're now a private organization, so we don't have all those problems. Before we had a landlord, which was the Navy, and anything we wanted to do had to be approved by them, and it was just a long process. So we're able to move now and do things, that we really want to do.
Now, you're designing the plaques, and there are plaques that are still going in there, or are you mostly maintaining what's there for the time being?
We design the plaque. I have 6 plaque designers.
Okay.
Wow.
And they do the designing basically, and then they send it to me, and I have to approve them because I want to make sure that everything that goes on that plaque is correct.
Yeah.
we're going to honor them with the proper medals and ribbons and what they did in their service. That's what we're concerned with. We're not concerned with what they did, in civilian life. What did they do when they were in the military, and what was their service like?
Yeah, and so with that, you're getting certainly the feedback from the folks, if they're alive, that's great, or their families and all that business. And then how do you vet them? And just to make sure that, okay, this person really did serve in fill in the blank, Vietnam, Korea, World War II.
Yeah, I'm interested in the research aspect too. I'm like, ooh, how are you checking all of these things? And
yeah, that's a really important question because, we want to make sure that the individual that's being honored is actually the individual, and he did what he said he did, and so on. So we have to have a DD-214, which indicates, it's an official document, and on that it will show us all his medals, his ribbons, and a little bit about his service, and so on. So that's where we start from. But we vet it very closely because we want to make sure that what goes up there is correct.
So, and I'll use my father as an example, and Neil's heard the story, many times, and we got a brick for him right now at the memorial. Thank you very much, Neil and team. But we'll be getting a plaque as well. Just talked to my brother about it. But Dad passed away many, many years ago, and I don't have any of the paperwork. All I do have, I told Neil this, it was an interesting story. When my mom passed away, we were going through some of her files and all that business. And then someone goes, well, there was family folks were looking through the different files. Goes, there's a folder here that says Stanley. That's my dad's name. And, Jane, an ex-wife who I'm very, very close with, said, did you know this is an original letter from the Navy Surgeon General to your dad? I go, what? Signed. Then she opens up a little more of the envelope. This is from the actual National Surgeon General. And you're not going to believe this next one was from Harry Truman.
Wow.
Because, they were honoring the folks that fought at Guadalcanal because that was such a deal. That may be my only proof. And his shellback card. I told Neil this. He started laughing. I go, yep. And those folks who know that if you go south of the equator, you get a shellback card. You and I will describe what that is offline because that is something that is probably not good for the FCC might say, no, don't be explaining what has to go into getting a shellback card.
Oh, yeah. You got to tell me this later then.
Oh, I'll tell you this later.
Okay.
That's right. Exactly. But my question is on that. Can I just show you guys that documentation? I don't know what else that we have.
Well, let me just say that I'm the one basically who approves that.
Okay.
And I would approve it.
Okay. Yeah.
But yes, official documentation like that, I will accept that as being, that shows that the individual was in the service and what he did. So I will accept that as official documentation.
Well, no, you just made my day. I'll let my brother know as well. We are chatting with Lieutenant Colonel Tony Anthony. He's a board member of the Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial, joined by Executive Director Neil O'Connell. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast. We're now in our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things for more than 6 decades. Joined by my wonderful co-host, Kristen Fogel. They are also celebrating a special anniversary at San Diego Writers Inc., 20 years. Kristen, any other questions you got for Lieutenant Colonel?
I do. Can you talk about membership? Because you can get a membership to the memorial, yes, and also the part that donations play as well.
Well, I would say membership is important. Donations are probably even more important. Because it takes money to maintain the cross and the memorial. So, yeah, but membership is very important for us as well because we want them to stay involved. Once they have a plaque up there, we want them to stay involved with the memorial because we need their support financially and also just to know that they're behind us and helping us.
So, sorry, I was going to ask a clarifying question. So do you have to have a plaque up there or have a family member's plaque up there to become a member? Can anyone become a member? And what's the cost associated with that?
I don't know the exact cost. My executive director, I'm sure, can tell you exactly what it costs because we have different types of membership and so on. But no, there's no requirement that you have to have a plaque up there in order to be a member.
Excellent.
If they want to support the memorial, that's fine. They don't need to have a plaque.
Okay.
Right. Exactly. So what are the costs? And they vary from what to what?
We have 5 levels of membership, Drew, from $50 friend membership level all the way to $2,500 as courage level.
Right.
And I'd love to just share with you some statistics from December, our year-end push.
Yeah.
In December, we gained 27 new members in a matter of 20 days.
Congratulations.
Of all levels.
Yeah.
We also had a fantastic outpouring of generosity and gratitude from the local community in helping us with our year-end goal to be able to set ourselves up for the next couple of years. And in that period of time, in a very short period of time, between the 1st of December and I'd call it about the 22nd, 23rd, we also received approximately 27 other donations individually of all different levels. The sweet spot for our donors right now is $5,000. And people are very, very understandable. They know the connection we have within the community and the impact that we deliver within the community. We're 70 years old. We've sustained, and we've been doing this quite a bit. Think about it. Balboa Park, I think those museums were built right around the centennial in, 1910, 1900, excuse me.
Right.
The anniversary of MCRD was just recently, 2012. The Midway Museum is about 20 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
Which is amazing. It's been 20 years.
And we go back to 1954.
Yeah.
And that's when the memorial was dedicated as a Veterans Memorial. And we're proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this before, Neil. Certainly you can jump in on this, Lieutenant Colonel, because of our interest at Cloudcast Media with education, as you know, all education, K through we pretty much call it, cradle, to grave,
right,
and all the wonderful things in between. What a great opportunity, and you folks do this to provide tours of the memorial with the school kids and all that business, or go out and talk to them about it. But what a great opportunity! This is living history. And probably, what's been going on around the world in recent months, obviously, it's good to know why it's important for us to have a strong military and why we honor these folks. Talk about the response you get from the schools.
Well, this year we had an increase of visitors from our local schools. And by that I mean the outreach that we have reaches across the county. And we get calls to be able to host a tour, as well as youth organizations, your Boy Scouts, your Girl Scouts, athletic organizations for youth, and to just do something different, another field trip. As we know, there's wonderful programs throughout the county for school-age children to get into the museums, to go and tour the zoo, to tour the Midway.
Right.
We offer the same thing. And the wonderful thing about this is, everybody, when you go to the memorial, there is no entrance fee. Okay, you walk up there, you come in, you park for free. There's no ticket put on your dashboard. You come on up and you're going to be welcomed by a wonderful docent, professional men and women who have a niche history and patriotism, and they will give you a wonderful tour. If you have a certain area you'd like to learn about, we have men and women that will gladly do that. In advance of that, though, if there's private corporations who'd like to do something special in conjunction with a reception or a nice little get-together, we kind of parallel that together for a nice little 2-hour experience. And that's where donations come into effect.
Well, let me just add something here. That the plaques up there, we have plaques, excuse me, on individuals going all the way back to the Revolutionary War, American Revolution. So there's plaques, all war veterans and veterans going all the way back to that time. There's a lot of history. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could spend a lot of time just going from plaque to plaque, and finding out what was all about. Initially, excuse me very much, but when it was 1954, it was for Korean War veterans. That's what it was for. Then they expanded it to World War II, but they all war veterans. And over the years, it's evolved into where we honor all veterans. Mm. They don't have to be a war veteran. We have a lot of war veterans, but any veteran who served honorably, got an honorable discharge, can be honored up there with a plaque.
Yeah, and I think, when we come back from break, I want to really, tie into that aspect of it and about the plaques. And I think a great writing assignment for the students. My background's in curriculum and all that business, and besides journalism. And what a great assignment for your 11th grade history teacher or an 8th grade U.S. history teacher or even 5th grade is go up there, find some person, and, research that person. And if you can't find about the person, research what they did. Now you're going to learn about the Gulf of Tonkin, or you're going to learn about Guadalcanal or whatever. What you can be doing that, and that'd be an assignment, it would be absolutely endless. And now you've touched somebody's heart, because now it's going to need research on that the family. They may or may not be here and stuff. What do you think of that idea, Kristen?
I was creating more work for people. That's what I say. No, I think it's really great, because you give the students an opportunity to identify in whatever way you're giving them an entry point, and then they can kind of take it from there.
Well, and it's something Kristen's going to be coming on. I'll be interviewing her actually after this interview here, and she'll be talking about their 20th anniversary at San Diego Writers Inc. But one of the folks, or the key points that Kristen's going to talk about is stories and storytelling. I mean, every one of those plaques tells about 45 different stories possibly in that aspect. We come back from break and want to talk more about that. I know Kristen has some more questions for the Lieutenant Colonel. And we always save time, as you know, Neil. What can we do, our listeners do, to help support your efforts? Volunteer, donate, become members, everything in between. When we return with Lieutenant Colonel Tony Anthony, he is the board member of the Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial, joined by our good friend, Neil O'Connell, Executive Director of Memorial. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast. We're now in our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, continuing to raise the bar out for us folk here in San Diego County. And I want to, again, always give a big shout-out to my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She is the Executive Director of San Diego Writers Inc., celebrating their 20th anniversary. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media, and we are back with another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We are broadcasting from the Mission Fed studio here in Scripps Ranch. And Mission Fed always doing great things for San Diegans for more than 6 decades, joined by Neil O'Connell, Executive Director of the Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial, joined by his colleague and board member of the Memorial, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Anthony. And I am always joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel, Executive Director of San Diego Writers Inc. Kristen?
You have my wheels spinning about this project for kids, too. I was just thinking of all the applications, fiction writing with these individuals. Write a screenplay, write a play, write, poetry. I'm just thinking about, maybe it's a good connection point for you and I.
Let's
to
get
talk
together,
about.
Kristen. Let's go.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
You're always starting things.
I'm starting things, and then I always get off the train.
That's
true. And I let the real conductors do the work over here.
Yeah, in the best possible way.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've talked a little bit about the plaques, and wonder if I could turn it over to you again, Tony, to talk about, you also honor these veterans via ceremonies as well, yes?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's what we want to honor their service. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And one of the things you can't put everything on a plaque.
Right.
For example, I served 40 plus years, and you can't put 40 plus years of experience on a plaque.
That's
so you
right.
just have the highlights.
Right.
We now have a program where we're getting the biographies of the individuals so that they will be able to, at some point, go exactly and get a more detailed of that service of that individual. And that's something we're working on, and hopefully that's going to come about, because that's really important, because they go up to the plaque and you see highlights of what that individual did, but you don't know specifically what he did during that period. And then a biography is going to help fill that in.
Yeah, it was interesting. And Neil, you and I have talked about this before. I'll be visiting my favorite place in the world, New Orleans. I'm coming for a Jazz and Heritage Festival, but they have the National World War II Museum. Right. You and I have talked about it, which is an impressive museum. It's like the Smithsonian. It is, 8 buildings. It's massive. You could spend literally 3 weeks there and never even leave one of the buildings. But what they have is, and you and I talked about it, they got audio from the folks there. And maybe it's a 1-minute clip of someone talking about what it was like to fight in X, Y, and Z. Is that somewhere in the plans? Obviously, that takes funding to do, but you could sit there if you want to hear the voice of somebody, okay? Click on this. They may have a recording of somebody that talked about it.
Well, in 2024, we've been working on this during the past year. Innovation that is available through these various tech firms and these startup tech companies. Right now, I'm having a discussion with 2 wonderful gentlemen. I'm not going to divulge the name of the operation, but they have a wonderful geolocation application of software they've created. And what it basically will do allow us to be able to get within literally about 1.5 feet of the plaque. And within that space, you'll have the opportunity to search that individual plaque. And within that, you will have photos, you will have a biography, you will have highlights. Now, the work that goes into that from our end is right now I've got 7,700 plaques. But within the 7,700 plaques, we've got about 10,000 stories because some plaques are multiple. I'll use, for example, the Pernicano family. Refer to them in San Diego.
Of course.
We have 9 of the family members of the Pernicanos on our walls on a couple of plaques. Then you've got organizations that have ships. In fact, Tony's very familiar with 326. He was one of those young lieutenants then at the time at Quezon, where we've got names, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines in Vietnam era, 66 to 68. We've got, I think we've got about 120 names of those that didn't make it back. But the technology piece, Drew, spot on. The audio component to this is a work in progress. There is so much data. However, we're going to take up that challenge in 24. It'll probably be a pretty costly project, but we see that as the opportunity to expand our educational program, also the relevance of just what impact we make within our community. If I could just quickly tell you, last year, 300,000 visitors. We had an immense amount of tourism this year in San Diego. Things are back.
Yeah.
You know what our Conviz is doing in San Diego Tourism Authority. We're projected conventions and reunions and the like here for the next couple of years. The numbers are off the walls, off the charts. So,
well, and to that point, and it's always great seeing you at the SD-MAC breakfast, San Diego Military Advisory Council, and of course they hang their hat on their annual economic impact study that shows what the military means in this region. They've been doing it for 10 plus years, $5 billion of indirect spending, and I think 30 billion plus. And just imagine what would happen. We use this example all the time with the meltdown in 2008. If it wasn't for the military, this whole community would have been in trouble. And you talk about that aspect. It goes hand in hand with, not only just the visitors up to Mount Soledad, but what this military community really means to San Diego in so many different ways in this aspect of it. So what can our listeners do? Obviously, as Lieutenant Colonel mentioned, donations certainly help us do more plaques and help with this innovation. Is there room for volunteers?
There's room for a lot of support within the community here. We've got a volunteer force. We have a lead-on volunteer program coordinator who you've met before, was on the show, Becky Evlith.
Of course.
Becky manages a team right now. We're averaging 50, which is the predominant, is our docents, our plaque designers, our trustees, and our caretaker, as well as the opportunity for people to support us through the form of donations. We're a private, nonprofit California corporation. The property is owned by the Mount Soledad Memorial Association. I'm blessed to be able to be the person that operates it and brings in the business, and in conjunction with our trustees, we work extremely hard. I would say that, number one, visit the memorial. Come and see it. I said, no fee for parking. There's no entrance fee. We're there every day, 7 days a week. Park is open 7 to 10.
Right.
Our docents are on from about 8:30 in the morning till about 4 in the afternoon. And then come to our events. Last year we had 45 Veterans Honor Ceremonies that Tony was talking about. 45. We had 6 major events: Veterans Day, Memorial Day, our Women's History Brunch Tribute. And then in addition to that, we had events such as our Gold Star families from 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines. We had a reunion from 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines Vietnam era. And we also had the United States Air Force Air Combat Controller Organization come in. I could go on and on and on about the organizations we've hosted up there. We don't have a fee for that. There's no fee. If someone would like to be a sponsor, which we've got wonderful sponsors here within our community, and folks underwrite and make that possible.
No, there's no question. That's a great way of going. We're chatting with Neil O'Connell. He's the executive director of the Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial, joined by his board member, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Anthony. I'm Drew Schlosberg, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We're now the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 18th year. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, always doing wonderful things in our community. Joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel, Executive Director of San Diego Writers Inc. Before we go, Kristen's got another question. Before we get to that, though, are you going to run out of space? You got 7,700 plaques now. What are you going to do with the next 7,700?
We have space right now. In 2023, we completed 5 new wall extensions.
Right.
That creates the capacity for us to hold approximately 2,000 more plaques.
Okay.
And at the current rate of installation and design and fabrication and installation of plaques, we'll be filled by 2030 in about 6 years. So we will be topped off. We have some sidebar discussions and potential concepts to add another wall or two. But in reality is there will be no room in that memorial for any more plaques. We think there's opportunity to do other things within the park itself,
right,
which are large, very, very, I'd say, ambitious plans.
Right.
But there's some great opportunity to continue to host folks and honor veterans.
Well, we know how fast 2030 will get here. Are you kidding me? I can't.
It's tomorrow. Yeah, it's absolutely tomorrow.
It's 2024, Kristen.
Yeah. No, are you doing something big for your 70th, or is there an event coming up that you want to kind of spread the word about?
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because here's the thing. And throughout the year, we're going to highlight our veterans and the fact that it's our 70th year. It's a big deal to us. It's very huge. We're looking at events throughout the year that we'll publish, where we're having friends of Mount Soledad join us at the memorial to learn about the memorial and what our mission is. But more importantly is to make an impact on the community. We want community leaders, business leaders, military leaders, corporate leaders, anybody that is leading any sort of community business venture, et cetera, to come on up and help us pronounce what we do. Why is that important? It goes right back to what you said, Drew, about education.
Yep.
We have a keen focus. Listen, plaques come into our office, plaque orders come into our office by the week. We average about 7 to 8 orders a week.
Wow,
that's a lot.
So the story will continue to be told, but we need the public to understand this is right here in your backyard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Help us tell the stories. The passion that the team has is it's fantastic. There is so much connection in the heart and soul and the spirit of what we do. As Tony talked about with these plaques and the folks and the ladies and gentlemen, the youngsters, the young men and women that are on the walls, You could spend hours up there.
Yeah, and I think, work with SDMAC, and of course you mentioned, certainly USS Midday Museum and all the wonderful, military organizations that are in this community. I'm only just touching on a few of them. We'll help get that word out too. Hopefully we're playing a little bit of a role in that in our spotlight shows. That's why it's so important for Kristen and I to talk about this. I mean, because I defy of the 3.4 million people that live in San Diego County, any of those folks not to know someone who is connected to someone in the military, for God's sake. It's almost impossible, in that area. Lieutenant Colonel, any final words?
No, I would just like to say thank you for having us here, and so we can talk about our favorite subject, of course, which is the memorial.
Sure.
But I would like to say just one thing, for those who are listening.
Please.
Saturday mornings, we have our honor ceremonies. If they want to see something that's really going on, drop up there on a Saturday morning, somewhere around 10 o'clock or so or whatever, and listen in as these honor ceremonies are being performed. And it's a great way to see the memorial, but also can see some of the folks who are directly involved with it as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well stated over there.
Point.
Neil, what can we do?
Well, Drew, continue to beat the drum with me here. You've done a great job. You're a wonderful friend, and what you bring to the community here. Honestly, Kristen, I think we've got a warm spot there. With
we do.
With the stories and the journalism, but we're looking forward to a great year. My priorities are aligned right in with the rest of the organizations with this community on making an impact and making our community a better place.
Well, why don't we make a commitment here at minimum once every other month, okay? You bring in somebody whose family member is up on the memorial, a plaque, or the person who was on there, because as you mentioned, we still are celebrating those folks that are still alive. I think that would be a great way to celebrate the 70th anniversary. How does that sound?
That sounds fantastic.
Okay, we'll make sure that happens. Kristen, any questions?
I don't. Just it's always good to chat with you, and I'm excited about our partnership, and it was great to meet you too. So.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. We've been chatting with Neil O'Connell. He's the Executive Director of the Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial, joined by his board member, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Anthony. I'm Drew Schlosberg. As you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast. We're now in our 18th year. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, continuing to do great things in San Diego County for more than 6 decades. We hope you enjoyed the show.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.